I look like shit, but we're just gonna go with it because at least I'm making a video. Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. I am putting in so little effort today. Essentially all I did was get in front of the camera. We're going no makeup. I'm having a bad hair day. I'm having bad skin time. I'm tired. I'm hungry. But I really wanted to film this video. I was feeling inspired, and I had a few different people in my last video's comments ask me to do a video specifically about my second mini shift. So we're gonna ignore that I look like shit. We're gonna ignore that my nails need to be done. We're gonna ignore how tired I look, and we're just gonna be happy that we're on this ride together. Anyone who follows me on TikTok may have already heard this story because my second mini shift was actually a couple weeks ago, like nearly or at like 2 weeks before I started posting on this channel again. So if you follow my TikTok, you may have already heard this. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about it here than what I could fit into a TikTok. I mini shifted on July 6th. I believe I posted about it on the 7th because I had woken up after midnight, so it was already the 7th, but when I laid down, it was the 6th. And it was so weird for me that it happened this month because anyone who saw the video of my very first mini shift knows that that was essentially a year ago. The last time that I shifted, I believe, was on the very last day of July 2023, and I filmed the video about it on like the very 1st of August. Well, this time I mini shifted in the very first week of July, so the fact that it was only a few weeks off from being a whole year since the last mini shift was crazy, especially since I used the exact same method and meditation as I did for my very first mini shift. And just to go ahead and get it out of the way before anybody asks, because I know that you will, I used the Void State Method 2.0 from Alunir. I believe there's 3 Alunir Void State methods now, but I didn't really vibe with the third one at all, and the first one was just kind of eh. The second one is the one that has always gotten me the closest to shifting, and it has now been the one that I have mini shifted with twice, and that is so crazy to me, especially since this mini shift was even more intense, and I felt more, and it felt more real, and it was just, it freaked me out really bad, but I was also really excited about it. So I don't know, I can't recommend that meditation enough. Anyone who's been on here knows that I really enjoy Alunir, and I've done several of her meditations before, and I recommend them to everybody. If you guys would like me to do a video about the Void State Method, let me know. I'm thinking about revamp. Oh my god, I can't talk. I am thinking about revamping my series where I went into depth with my experiences with different shifting methods. I believe I've already done ones for the Julia method, the ADHD method, the Raven method, and the Pillow method. I can't suddenly remember if I've done them for any others, but I'm pretty sure I did it for those 4. And if you guys would like me to bring that series back and start telling you more about different methods that I've learned about, my experiences with them, what they are, how to do them, that sort of stuff, then let me know, and I can do that for the Void State Method as well. Sorry if the camera angle slightly changed. My back was touching the corner of this, and it was overstimulating the crap out of me. I couldn't function like that. Anyway, what I was trying to say when that overstimulated me and threw me off really bad was that the night that I shifted, I will admit, I was in the starfish position. I'm one of those people that I know you don't have to be in a starfish position to shift, but every time I've gotten super close, not just my mini shifts, but every time I have felt a lot of symptoms or felt emotionally connected to my DR, I was in that position. Maybe it's because it keeps me awake longer, or maybe it's because my brain now associates that with, oh, you're shifting because you're laying on your back. I don't know, but I shift better when I lay on my back. So at first I really thought that the method wasn't working. I was just kind of laying there. My ADHD was doing its thing. If you know how it is, you know how it is. So my brain was just kind of going off and going around and around, and I felt like I kind of felt like a bit of a hamster on a wheel. And then all of a sudden I realized I wasn't actually thinking anymore. I kind of realized I was just like out of it and existing, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, okay, this is good. And then I started doing this thing that I keep referring to when I talk to people about it as like double spinning, where it felt like my body was spinning this way, but like the world was spinning around me this way. So they were going in opposite directions. The only way that I know how to explain it is like, it first started feeling like if you go to the top of a hill and then you roll down, you know you're the one spinning. But it was almost like as if the world was also spinning around me while I was rolling down the hill. It was very trippy. While this is happening, I start feeling a little tingly. I start getting this there's this symptom that I don't honestly really, I don't want to say I don't consider it a symptom, but it's like I don't notice it anymore because it happens so often. Whenever I get really close to shifting, it always feels like someone's like grabbing onto the end of my bed and shaking it or like beating on it to get my attention. I almost don't mention that to people anymore when I try to shift because it happens pretty much every time I try to shift for the last year. I'm pretty sure that I think my mini shift last year was the first time it ever happened. Every time I have tried to shift since then, that's happened, whether I mini shifted or not. So that almost to me, I'm so used to it that I'm just like, oh, they're shaking my shit in. So I don't really notice it, but that was happening during this. Just as I was getting used to the fact that I was doing the double spinning thing and was trying to get my head wrapped around that, I started feeling like I was not necessarily falling, but kind of like floating downwards in like a weird sense of water almost. I felt like I was descending through water, which kind of coincided with what she was talking about in the meditation. So I was like, okay, this is working, this is good. And then after that started happening, I started feeling like a sense of full body tingles. And the full body tingles is something I have a lot, but this was different. This didn't feel like usual tingles. My usual tingles is kind of familiar because it feels a little bit like when you sit on the toilet for too long and your feet fall asleep, it's like that. But this kind of tingles was more like I was in water and could feel water like rushing over my skin. And because that felt so like it coincided with the fact that I felt like I was falling through water, I was like, okay, all right, cool. Something's happening. I was freaking out at this point. It was after I had started to really register that this was going on. The tingles of water rushing over my body then turned to being completely numb. I could still hear my earbuds going off, and I could still hear her talking, but I couldn't feel them, and I couldn't feel my bed anymore, and I couldn't feel my body, and I was like, oh, and I freaked out. I then started to get this feeling that if you watched my first mini shift video from a year ago, you'll recognize I talked about the fact that I started to feel like I was in a bigger room. I don't really know how to explain that unless you've actually explained it, but it's like if you stand in a room you're familiar with and maybe you know it's a small room and then you close your eyes, you're aware you're in a small room. But if you go to someone else's house and you're in a bigger room and you close your eyes, it's like you can feel that the space is larger than if your eyes were closed in a small room. That's the only way I know how to explain it. It was almost like I was aware I was in a small room and then I felt it get bigger. Well, I was in the middle of trying to shift to my MCU-DR like I was last year, and my room there is much bigger than my room here. And it was like I suddenly felt like I was aware I was in a larger space. And then right after this happened, I started to feel cold air from my left. Now, the way that my bed is set up, I have a wall to my left and nothing else, just a wall. And I started to freak out because in my MCU-DR, there is an AC and a balcony over there. If anyone remembers my previous mini shift video, which by the way, I'm going to put not only my previous mini shift video in the description, I'm also going to put the Alonier 2.0 thing down here, as well as a playlist of my other shifting videos. But if anyone saw that video and remembers, I remember seeing like light over there. Like it wasn't like flickering like a flashlight. It was almost like if air was coming at a curtain in front of a door and kind of flowing like this. Well, to the left of my bed in my MCU-DR is a balcony door with a curtain in front of it, and there's an AC right next to it. And then there's a small bedside table and then me. And I started to freak out because I felt like the AC was clicking on. But I know that in here, my AC is to the right of my bed. And also, I can't feel it very well because my bed is actually covering 3/4 of the only vent in my room. So it started freaking me out that it wasn't just like, oh, the whole room's getting kind of cold, or oh, there's air bouncing around in the room. I only felt it coming directly from my left. So at this point, I'm like, it is happening again. I am in my MCU-DR again. I am freaking out. I'm trying to figure out how to ground myself. But in my panic, it's making me feel all like this, you know? And I felt like I couldn't really get all the way in. And that is when I started to hear stuff. I heard what could only be described as a drawer opening and someone rummaging around in it and then closing. But the thing is, the only way I know how to describe it is it sounded like a cutlery drawer in a kitchen. It sounded very similar to the cutlery drawer in my own kitchen, but I know that it wasn't because not only was no one in my house awake and in the kitchen at that time, but even if they were, my bedroom door was closed and I had earbuds in, and I'm also hard of hearing. So there's no way that I would have been able to hear someone rummaging through a drawer in the kitchen from across the house with a door in between us and earbuds in my ears. So there's just no way. And so I heard someone like opening a kitchen drawer, like they were grabbing something and then closing it again. And I was like, okay, even if for some reason I'm not in my DR, I always hear people talk about like fake it till you make it to convince your brain you are in your DR and then you will get there. So no matter what the sound was, I was like, that is a drawer in my kitchen. In my MCU DR, I live with Tony. So I was like, okay, Tony is in my kitchen. Tony is rummaging around in the kitchen. It's probably early. He's making coffee or grabbing some sort of like makeshift breakfast because he's waiting for me to get up so that we can get actual breakfast delivered to the house. And then almost immediately after I accepted that that's what was going on, heard a door open and close. And I was like, okay, I hear a door opening and closing, but it didn't sound like it was the door in the room I'm in. It was almost like I heard a door down the hall open and close. And then once I was like in the middle of asking myself, like, did I just hear a door open and close? And I kind of gave it a second, and then I heard it open and close again. Almost like he had walked into a room, closed the door, was in there for a minute, and then walked back out and closed it again. So my brain was like, okay, he went to the bathroom. I can hear him going to the bathroom. He just happens to be in the same part of the house as me. I don't really know exactly how the inside of the house is set up. I just know my bedroom is across from my bathroom, and that somewhere in the house there's also my library and my office. But also, like, he's got a bunch of extra rooms and shit like that, so I don't know where he's just gone. For all I know, he could be using my bathroom across the hall, or maybe he's got another bathroom down the hall, or he's just loud as shit and I can hear him, or there's a closet at the end of the hall. I don't know exactly how the house is set up yet. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to convince myself I just heard him go in and out of the bathroom. For whatever reason, I'm going to convince myself that's what's going on. And then the part that, like, I think I actually started shaking, I'm not kidding, I began to hear a man. I couldn't register who it was or what they were saying, but I heard a man's voice speaking from directly next to me. I literally got chills even just thinking about it. In this reality, I live with 4 other people, and 2 of those are dudes. That was neither of these dudes. I know that I would know their voices. Also, there's no reason that these dudes would come into my room and just like start talking next to me, especially since the lights were off and it was the middle of the night, so it was obvious that I was asleep. And even if for some reason they did come in because there was some sort of emergency, they would have flicked the lights on and they would have started like patting me on the leg, and they would have moved my blanket off of me and stuff like that. They would have been shaking me. This was not that. It sounded like someone was in my room and just like standing next to my bed talking. And it was freaking me out, and I couldn't tell if it was Tony or Happy or who it was, like whose voice this was. But I know it started to freak me out really, really badly. And several times throughout this shifting attempt, I kind of had to remind myself I am completely safe. And I think that's something that really helps me mentally, is like when I start getting freaked out by a new shifting symptom, I'm like, it's okay, whatever's going on, I'm safe. No one's gonna hurt me in my CR. No one's gonna hurt me in my DR. I am completely safe. Nothing can hurt me. I am in control. The universe wouldn't let this happen to me if I wasn't safe. Like, trying to remind myself that I am okay and continuing to remind myself that I was safe throughout all of these was a really big deal for me. But at this point, I couldn't just say, oh, I'm safe. I had to be like, not only am I safe, I'm alone. I have scripted that I am alone in my DR when I wake up, that I'm going to wake up in my room in Tony's house, and that no one else is going to be in here. I just almost knocked my monster down. Not happening. Gonna move that. I remind myself, even if Tony is somewhere in the house talking, he's not in here. I'm not going to wake up with Tony in my room. I've specifically scripted and continue to visualize that I will wake up in my room alone so that I have time to process. Every time that I imagine shifting to my MCU DR, he is always working on a suit in his lab. He is not in my room. He is not in my room talking. I am alone. I am safe and I am alone. Over and over and over again until the voice stopped. And I was like, okay, I'm alone in the room. We're fine. And then I started hearing the same man. Still can't tell who it is, but I could hear the same man's voice from somewhere else. It almost sounded like he was in the hallway outside of my room. But there was something about the tone in his voice. It sounded too casual for him to be trying to get my attention. I don't think he was trying to get my attention. I don't think he was addressing me. I didn't really get the sense in my chest that he was even talking to me. So I was like, okay, Tony is either talking to Jarvis or he is on the phone with someone. And it kind of went in and out, almost like he was on the phone or talking to someone while walking past my door. It was like it came in, got a little louder, was its loudest, and then started to fade back out. So at that point, I was like, okay, Tony's not in my room. He is outside talking to somebody. I'm fine, I'm alone, I'm safe in my room. I am almost there. I have got this. And then I started to my God, I can't, even just like thinking about it is like the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. I felt my bed, not the one here, but the one in my DR. The way that I was like sitting and laying-ish in my bed is I like to have stuff kind of tucked up under my sides when I'm shifting, because I don't really want to feel like I'm gonna end up like sliding off of the bed, and I don't want to feel like my arms are gonna end up touching me and like pulling me out of it. So I always have like, I have a shit ton of plushies on my bed. So I like to tuck plushies underneath my arms and kind of hold my arms up, but also up under my sides so I don't roll. And I could feel that I was suddenly aware of stuff underneath my arms. But the thing is, I know that they were not plushies. They didn't feel like plushies that were underneath my arms and tucked up under my sides. They felt like they were shaped different and a different material. And the way that I imagine my bed in my MCU DR, there's not a bunch of plushies like there is. It's mostly pillows. I have pillows that are all of different like shapes and sizes. I think maybe there's like 1 or 2 plushies, but not the like 45 that are on my bed over there. It felt like pillows, like normal bed pillows, were tucked up under my sides and under my arms. And I was like, this is freaking me out. Oh my God, this is not my bed. This is not my bed. But it is my bed. It's my bed somewhere else. This is not my bed in my CR. No, it's not my CR. My DR is now my CR. It's not my bed in my original reality. I'm not in my original reality, but I am in my reality. Like, just so hard trying to convince myself of what was going on. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. I can feel my bed. Like, I just have to fully ground myself and then I'll open my freaking eyes. Like, I was freaking out. And then the thing that took me out of it, which I'm 90% sure is what took me out of it last time, and it is my most hated shifting symptom because it actually physically scares me and there's no way to make myself believe that I'm safe when this starts happening because it just freaks me out too badly. I started to feel like someone was standing next to my bed, leaning their weight onto my bed. Almost as if like their thigh was on the bed and they were leaning towards me, almost like they were like leaning over to talk to me or look at me while I was sleeping. And I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. And it was freaking me out because then it started almost like it was going like this. Almost like the person next to the bed was kind of just like bouncing slowly in and out on the mattress. And it freaked me out so bad. And I tried really, really hard to be like, I'm safe, I'm alone, I'm safe, I'm alone, I'm safe, I'm alone. And it was not working. And I could feel my heart beating so hard, I could feel it in my throat. And it was freaking me out really bad, and I got really, really scared. And I was like, I don't want to move. If I move, it'll take me out of it. I don't want to move, it'll take me out of it. And I knew if I moved, I was not going to be able to get all the way in because it was like I was starting to feel my bed, but it was like I wasn't fully in yet. I really felt like I had one foot in this reality and one foot in the other one. And it just, I knew if I moved, I was going to snap back. But if I moved my leg up, either I was going to feel a person or it was going to just stop and I would snap back. And I didn't want to do it because I wanted to shift so badly, and it truly broke my heart when I snapped back. But I was so terrified, feeling like someone was leaning on my bed and bouncing on my bed and like staring at me while I was sleeping, that I was so uncomfortable. I immediately just like pulled my leg up towards that area, and then suddenly it was like being hit by cold water. It was like a full rush. Suddenly I couldn't feel like the bed with the pillows and the AC. Like, it was suddenly boom, I was in a hot room again. It felt small. I felt my plushies. I felt my whole body. I could feel my earbuds in my ears, and it was like being snapped back by a rubber band. And to me, that's like one of the most disappointing feelings as someone who's a shifter, when you feel like you're desperately pulling at a rope, inch by inch, pulling yourself towards that reality. And it's like you start to grab onto the door, you're slowly opening it, and then you let go because there's a bungee cord pulling you in the other direction. It was like, oh God, this sounds so cheesy, but the only way I know how to describe it is like my soul was trying to climb out of this body and into the other one. And it was like I hadn't fully gotten all the way out or all the way in. And I just snapped right back in here. It was awful feeling, and I was so sad because I felt like I had been so close. But then I was so confused when I got up. I was like immediately gaslighting myself, and I was like, there's no way that happened. Exactly like last time, convincing myself it didn't happen, convincing myself I was crazy, and I ended up having to contact multiple people who were shifters to get them to help convince me. And after like 3 different shifters convinced me, that's a mini shift. If it happened to me, I would say that I mini shifted. That was when I fully accepted that I mini shifted, and I didn't really know what to do about it, and I didn't properly talk about it on TikTok until the next day. So that was my mini shift. I think at this point, I don't know what the date is. I truly had a very long weekend. I don't know what the date is, but that was about 2 weeks ago now. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I feel really differently after this mini shift than I did my last one, where the last one I was so in disbelief and then shocked and I don't know. And then all of a sudden I hit burnout. I hit really bad burnout. And I didn't really know what was going on, but it was like I lost all motivation to shift after that, which is the full opposite of what I thought was going to happen when I mini shifted. And that's part of the reason I was gone from this channel, because I didn't care about shifting anymore. I didn't care to make contact. I didn't care to make content about it because I just didn't care. And it took me like 10 months to start caring about it again. And for me to slowly start being like, okay, maybe I do care, and like planning content for my TikTok and for this channel, and like making new friends who are shifters. And even my best friend, who's never been a shifter, has started getting into shifting. And I feel like I've been talking about it more and thinking about it more, and I feel like I'm really starting to feel like inspired and like it's fun and magical again. And that's really why I've been back here as well. And I have felt really differently ever since then. I've even been getting tarot readings from friends, and I've been like communing with like my higher self and trying to get into the right state of mind. And I feel closer. And I feel like I also am really in this place where I'm not putting my DR on a pedestal anymore. And because of that, it makes it feel more real. I'm aware there's going to be good days and bad days. And I think that's making it more realistic for me and helping me to grasp onto that. Which is saying a lot because it's been nearly 4 years that it took me to do that. But whatever, better late than never. I think I've only really tried to shift once in the last 2 weeks. And it was like during a nap and I wasn't feeling very well. But it's not because of like last time I think I tried to shift once after my mini shift and then not again for months because I didn't care. Mostly I haven't tried to shift in the last 2 weeks just because I have been super busy and really tired, and it's more like I'm kind of aware I don't really want to shift on nights where I have something to do the next day, because I want to be able to be home and process and talk to people about what's going on. So I don't want to shift on nights where I have to go out the next day. I have to be up early. I have stuff to do. So it's more like I'm trying to be better about only shifting on nights where I have the next day to think and process and deal with stuff. So it's more like I'm just trying to be better about fitting shifting into my life rather than fitting my life around shifting, because I think that's a big problem that I had before. And I'm pretty sure that that's all of it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed this story time. I don't even know. I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited about making content here again. And I'm really glad that I could share this with you guys. If you guys have any questions about shifting, whether it's shifting in general or my shifting journey or my DRs or anything like that, please leave them in the comments below. I'm currently trying to pull together a bunch of questions to do in a shifting based Q&A video. So if you guys have a question and you would like me to answer it on camera, please leave it in the comments, and your question might be featured in my upcoming shifting Q&A video. If you guys are not already following my social media, then please check out my social media below. I don't really use Twitter that much anymore, but it is down there. But you can also find me on TikTok, where I am the most, my Instagram, my Tumblr, I'm pretty sure my Snapchat, and my Goodreads are even down there. Something that I had to mention in the description of my last video that I did forget to mention on camera because ADHD, I had a link in my previous videos for the last several months about a shop that I ran with my mother where she was selling jewelry and I was selling shifting spell jars. We have since our break from this channel, wow guys, I am so tired. Ever since my break from this channel, my mother and I had to sadly close down our shop. We were not getting enough revenue to actually be able to keep it open, so sadly that has been shut down. But if you do want to buy something shifting related from me, I am actually selling custom reality shifting tarot readings right now. You can either get a general reading from your spirit guides and your higher self about your journey and if anything is holding you back or what you can do to help yourself shift, or you can get a channeled reading from someone in your DR, be it a partner, a friend, a family member, whoever, and you can hear advice from them or just a message or how they feel about you or whatever it is that you want to hear. I have an email in the description below where you can email me and we can talk about getting you a reading or even multiple readings. Each of my readings are $10 a piece US, and at this time I am only accepting payments via Venmo. Hopefully I will be able to get a PayPal in the future figured out, but I'm having trouble hooking PayPal up to my bank at this time. So if you guys are available to pay via Venmo and you are interested in a $10 tarot reading of your choice, please contact the email below. Please only contact me about the tarot readings. I will not answer any other emails of any kind through that email address. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, please press the subscribe button and join the family. I would love to have you. I have so much more shifting content planned upcoming, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you guys. Also, remember that if you have any ideas for videos that you would like to see based on shifting content, leave those in the description along with your shifting questions and your opinions on if you want a void state method video. Be safe, be kind to yourselves, and have fun shifting. Bye.